very happy to announce that Henning Voepel is here. Henning has been since 5 years head of the Hamburg Institute of International Economics. I'm so sorry. In 2010, he was appointed Professor of Economics at the Hamburg School of Business Administration. And I guess, Henning, your English is quite all right, right? He has spent some time.
Hopefully, yes. I don't know.
He has spent some time in Washington, San Diego, San Francisco, in Boston, as he was part of a research program, the International Leadership Program, having been invited by the US Department of State. He brought a really relevant and interesting topic with him today: how artificial intelligence will impact and change the economy. I'm very happy that you're here. Henning, your time now.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the invitation. My name is Henning. I'm, as you said in the beginning, I'm a professor for economics and I'm teaching at HSBA. So this is kind of a home field for me. But I have to admit that I have never been teaching from this stage here. So my topic today is artificial intelligence and how this will change and impact the economy. Hopefully this is not going to be boring for you because it's the view of an economist on artificial intelligence. So I have to admit that I'm not an expert. So don't expect me to explain you what artificial intelligence really means. What I'm interested is in trying to analyze how AI will change the economy. And the new economic paradigm, I think that's for sure that artificial intelligence will be the new paradigm in the way we work, we produce, we organize the whole economy. And that's why I'm trying to show in the following. So first of all, it's, I think, very important to distinguish two types of artificial intelligence, and I'm sure you heard that before, that we can distinguish two types of artificial intelligence, that is narrow versus broad artificial intelligence, and narrow artificial intelligence or weak artificial intelligence is focusing on separated and well-defined processes, right? So the aim of weak artificial intelligence is to improve processes. As opposed to weak artificial intelligence, we have broad or strong artificial intelligence that is aiming to mimic human behavior, right? That is very different from narrow AI. And to my understanding, we are quite far from that. So in terms of business models, we are focusing on narrow or weak artificial intelligence. So the other thing is quite a way to go. And AI takes big data to smart data. That's interesting that AI and data are complements, right? Economists say complements. That means we can't use one without the other, right? So the reason why we talk about so much on AI is that we are able to collect, to store, and to process data, right? That is, this ability helps to foster and to bring further artificial intelligence. So AI and big data are complements, and AI is the source or the method, the instrument of how to make smart data out of big data. So to use economically data. But be aware of data, right? So there are many biases in data. So when we use data, that means we only have representations of human behavior in the past. And it's full of biases, it's full of faults, and by using data, simply data, and using artificial intelligence, we can easily prolong all the things we made in the past into the future, right? So there's no proper usage of artificial intelligence without a proper research and analysis of big data. That's why it is important to focus on data science, right? That's what you can see here. So we use big data in order to gain knowledge, to extract knowledge, but this cannot be done without having a very advanced data science, right? That is crucial for the combination or for having complements as artificial intelligence on one hand side and data on the other side. So that is extremely important. So coming back to the rise of AI and the usage of big data and the emergence of platforms. So that's what I've said in the beginning, that we are for the very first time in the history of mankind able to collect, to store, and to process data, enormous data. And we can use data immediately and everywhere, right? That's why we can, for example, foster and improve services, right? So physical products become services. That's by using data, right? Okay, so there is substantial economic value lying in data. And for me as an economist, it's quite interesting and fascinating to see that now we are able to extract economic value out of data, right? That has never been possible before. And there's an interesting economic feature in data. That means a single observation has no economic value, right? So we need a centralization of enormous amounts of data being centralized on platforms. That's why we are talking so much about platforms, right? This is a vehicle of how to use big data, right? We use platforms as a vehicle. It's a kind of organization to extract economic value from data. So there's a clear interdependence between big data, the rise of platforms, and the rise also of artificial intelligence. And the meaning of data is manifold, as you can easily imagine, right? So data is very different from data. It depends on how we use data. And here comes economics into play. So it's our decision of how we want to use data, right? For what purposes? What are the business models we can deploy using data? So how can we concretely use artificial intelligence? So we can, for example, reveal preferences and predicting real-time demand, right? That is one thing we can do deploying data. We can optimize processes. We can also save resources. We can, that is very important, replicate knowledge, right? We can combine, we can collect knowledge and experience and combine it to an algorithm or artificial intelligence, and that is a way to replicate, and not just to replicate, but also to provide knowledge and experience to almost all people around the world, right? So we can, for example, provide healthcare services in Africa or in China by replicating knowledge using AI, right? That is an extremely increase in people's welfare, right? Okay. So, and well, we can of course detect new patterns, we can create new services, all these things can be done by using artificial intelligence. And now I come to a very important point because, well, in the beginning I mentioned that AI will probably and most likely change the paradigm, the economic paradigm of the economy, and here you can see why. So 200 years ago, we had a transition from the agrarian economy to the industrial economy. And that was caused by having capital entering the production function. That is a concept very often used by economists. So the idea is that we use factors of production to produce output, right? And 200 years ago, capital entered the production function. So the way we organized the economy or production changed enormously from when we had the transition from the agrarian economy to the industrial economy. For example, there was a huge shift of economic surplus from the landowners to the capital owners, right? And for example, we developed competition law, unions emerged from industrialization. So up to now, we are a fully industrialized society, right? So, and now we have a second transition, the second technological transition in mankind, and that is the transition from the industrial economy to data economy or the data-driven economy, because data has entered and will increasingly enter the production function. That means we can use data to extract economic value. We can use data as a resource, and this is only possible because the usage of data we can how can I say? So we use artificial intelligence to automatically and autonomously extract economic value from data. And you can see that this, of course, will change the way we organize the economy, because one factor of production, for example, labor, is completely differently related to capital or data, right? So, for example, AI will probably replace labor, right? And not only low-skilled labor, but also an increasingly cognitive and non-routine labor. That's what's broadly discussed in the media, that we can or will lose 50% of our jobs or so. So the relation between data and, well, artificial intelligence and labor is completely changed by using artificial intelligence. Secondly, AI will also change the meaning and the importance of capital, right? So there is a market entry that is possible without capital, right? So we can see this looking at Uber, for example, or Airbnb. So there is market disruption, there's market entry without capital, right? And that is possible by using data and, well, as a complement, artificial intelligence. Okay. So, and this is how we organize, or we still organize the economy, and we will organize the economy in the future, right? That is the transition that is currently taking place. This is the old paradigm of the more industrialized economy. So we built so-called silos or vertical structures, supply chains, right? And that was based on two principles. One is specialization and the division of labor. That is how we use resources efficiently, by division of labor and specialization, right? That was the logic, that was the paradigm of the Industrial Revolution, to build on silos and vertical supply chains, right? And that will completely change using data and artificial intelligence. So it will transform to a picture like this. And what you can see here is an ecosystem consisting of a data infrastructure, a platform infrastructure. That's what you can see here. And
Thank you so much,
this new
Henning.
paradigm of the economy is no longer based on know-how, but on know what and know when, right? And the last, can I have 1 minute to make a final point, right?
Ooh, I don't know. We're usually very strict with that. Maybe a question comes up that will, then you can answer it. Okay, guys, we have 6 minutes for your questions. Is there anyone who wants to start? Okay.
So what's your closing statement?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Such a kind audience. How nice is that?
I think, well, I think Senator Broster mentioned that in the opening of this conference, that we need to find a new idea of how to use AI and data, probably a more European way, in between the Chinese way or approach and the US approach. And well, I think we should put this issue on how to regulate AI and the usage of data is so crucial that we should put it on a global agenda, the G20 agenda, for example, because in the future no single product will be traded across borders without transferring data, right? So we have to agree on common rules, how to deal, how to process data, how to exchange data, because without exchanging data, there won't be any digitalization, right? And a third European way could mean that we don't have platforms and data being centralized on platforms by state-owned companies like in China, or privately owned firms like in the US. I think a more European way could mean that we preserve the dignity of consumers, the privacy of consumers, and preserve competition. And that could mean that we have to create new ideas of how to deploy data as a common resource. So my suggestion would be, my idea would be to create so-called open data infrastructures, open source infrastructures, right? To allow every single firm to get access to data in order to organize competition, right? And that is a way to not to leave big and increasingly growing companies to monopolies, gaining market power, and that would mean in turn that we should build these open data infrastructure. But we are far from that because we don't have the regulatory framework to allow this idea to be implemented.
Very political again. Are there other questions in the audience? Okay.
So you said that we just arrived in the industrial economy and that we're going to switch into the data-driven economy, but how long will it take to get there?
Well, good question. So in Germany, we are a bit behind China and other economies because we stick too much on existing business models and the old industrial paradigm of the economy, and it's very difficult to transform, to change the economy in a greater sense of the word, right? To change the structure, the paradigm. I think for Germany it's crucial. It's an illusion that our stock of capital is really valuable, and we have to gain speed and pace to cope with China and other economies. I think it takes 5 to 10 years probably to have a full transformation of the more industrial economy to a data-driven economy. Right.
Any other questions here?
So do I understand it correctly? The real disruption will only happen with the model that you have proposed, like the European way, because otherwise you will probably just get another silo with a huge data owners.
Yeah. So the ability to share knowledge and data is crucial for the transformation from the old world to the new world, right? So that's what I try to show here, that firms and companies become more a hybrid structure, right? Dealing with very different issues and topics, not being focused on one silo or vertical industry, right? So the ability to share ideas, to implement cross-industry business models is crucial, is not only crucial, but a prerequisite for the transformation from the old to the new world.
I have a question for you about your remark that we are going away from a capital-driven economy. And you mentioned Uber as an example. Now, Uber would not exist today without venture capital, without people in the United States. I live in the United States, putting so much more money into startup companies than anywhere else in the world. So I did not quite understand how you can separate Uber, for instance, and capital.
Okay, so economists use the word
30 seconds.
The term capital, very different from the meaning of the word used in the media, right? So capital for us is physical capital. It's a stock of capital. It's not money. It's not a fund, right? Financing new business models or startups, right? That's very different. So obviously you need money to come up with new business models, but that is not the stock of capital we mean when we talk about capital.
Thank you so much, Henning. That was great. We will take a short break again. We'll be back again in 6 minutes with Peter Bartels, so stick around.